Well, we might actually talk about some sports now as we bring in the mighty mouth, Bryn Griffiths. And I'll tell you what, Brynster, I had the great fortune of spending some time with Jeff DeDecker. Jeff DeDecker, your old buddy, last week ago at a fundraiser. So it's good, man. Your name comes up in glowing terms all the time. I'm in Moose Jaw, by the way, for the summer. Not sure if I told you that. Where are you and what's up with you, partner?
I'm in Lake Country, British Columbia. I'm visiting my good cousin, who's like a brother to me, Barry Larson, and we're spending a week out here. Just gorgeous. You won't believe how many NHL people you run into here during the off season. It's crazy.
Oh, are you those NHL guys like to remain anonymous, so I won't even ask you to name them, Bryn.
Not going to do it.
Yeah, before we go down the CFL road, I see the Oilers. NHL Network has the Oilers picked as the number one favorite to win the Stanley Cup this year. Florida's number two. I think I can't even remember who else. They had Dallas, Colorado, and New Jersey in the top five. Do you see the Oilers as the Stanley Cup favorites coming back?
I see the Stanley Cup favorites coming back should be the Florida Panthers, the defending champs. So I feel until they get beat once or twice during the regular season, they should be the favorites. So I think the Oilers should be two. It's funny. The last time we chatted was, I think the Oilers were down 3-0 in the Stanley Cup final, and you said, can they come back? Well, they almost did. They're, and they were pretty banged up, as every team is with players during the Stanley Cup run. It's a grind, but I think they should be number two right now. And a lot depends on whether or not they get Leon Draisaitl all locked up and ready to go. I think that they will, but there's some work to be done. But I thought they were a better team, Rod, after they made the moves a week after they lost in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. I think they're a better team now than they were last year at any point. So they should be. I don't think they should be one. I always believe the champs should always be one going into the season. That's just how I feel.
Isn't it? It's just difference in the NHL, right? Because that 2010 Chicago team already started dismantling within a week in terms of, Buffalo being gone and Troy Brouwer, but they ended up winning two more. It's just the way the NHL is now. What's much Canucks talk out there, by the way?
I try not to bring it up too much. I don't want to upset my Vancouver Canuck family members, the people who cheer for everybody out here, because, I'm not paying to stay here.
I get it.
So
I get it.
Why go there? Why go there? Everybody's pretty jacked up about them.
They should be.
Yeah. I think the Canucks are a very good team. Every team goes through injuries. I think losing, not having Demko hurt them. But every team has injuries. You just got to be rolling at the right time in the playoffs. And I thought that the Oilers got better as that series wore on. I also believe that Vancouver Oilers series was the one that really helped push the Oilers to the Cup final because it just took them to the next level. And you got to have that, right? So.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, through sheer curiosity, I'm just wondering what your Olympics experience is. Are you into it? Are you not into it? Like, I was quasi into it at the start, but a lot of the negative media coverage just turned me off the whole thing. I know there's good stories, but there's a lot of other things to follow, and I'm not. Are you, though?
I think I'm not a Summer Games guy, but I follow. Like, I'm always interested in the men's 100 meter race because I think that to me is the highlight event always. But, we live in Canada, and if it's a beautiful day, I'm not going to stay inside. And with the time zone factor, I'm not going to watch too much. But when the weather is so gorgeous, I'd rather be golfing. I'd rather be, riding the canal between, lakes in Penticton for an afternoon and sitting at home watching the Olympics. Winter games for me are everything. I love the Winter Olympics, but the summer ones, I go, it's not necessarily what we're best at, but for the most part, I'm curious. But I don't watch live. I just don't.
Yeah. Well, we are getting better, Bryn. We are getting better in the summertime.
Yes, we are.
But the Elks, the Edmonton Elks might not. I mean, you're a longtime Edmonton sportscaster. You got your finger on the pulse, podcasted for a long time as well. Word association, Edmonton Elks. Yeah. Go.
Yeah, it's losers. They just haven't won very much. I think the biggest issue for me, Rod, is the fact that they learned nothing from last year. That's one of the reasons why Chris Jones is gone. They needed to go with Trey Ford based on what he did last year. He should have been your starter. Now, Bethel Thompson is that I thought when they brought him in, he was to work with Trey Ford, not be the starter for 6 games. And once again, they're behind the 8 ball. They probably won't make the postseason unless this guy goes in an absolute tear. But why did they wait so long? That's the question. Jarius Jackson, I was surprised when he didn't go with Trey Ford right away. If you're going to make changes, you better start making some changes, right? So the interest level has been tepid at best, but all you got to do is start winning. You know that. Every city's exactly the same. When you start winning, that's when people start to get interested. But there's not a lot of intense interest in the Canadian Football League, in my opinion anyway, in Edmonton right now. But if Trey Ford keeps the last 2 games, he came in late in that first game, then I thought he played great in the last one in Saskatchewan, did what he had to do. The biggest issue everyone says is the defense isn't good enough. The defense has been on the field too long. By the time they get to the second half, they're totally bagged. If your offense is doing a better job, the defense looks better, right?
I'll tell you something, Bryn. This is where you and I could go spend a lot of time. When you say they need to win, I'm hearing that all the time from everybody. The Kevin Cariuses, the Eddie Steeles, and so forth. But here's the thing, and by the way, I travel a lot. I'm around a lot, as are you. Every city's the same. I just heard this the other day. I was up at Wendell Clark's restaurant in Saskatoon. The owners, I was with Byron and Gary, the owners. They're like, Saskatoon's tough. You got to win. Boys, every town is. Every town is. Yeah. In Edmonton, is it that simple with the Elkamos that if they win, they'll get back to at least 25,000 a game?
Maybe. I think this league now is a 25,000 a night league. I don't think you're going to see those 35, 40,000 crowds very much anymore. I just think that's a demographic issue for me. I just think the younger generation. I'll use 18 to 35. I think there's less interest in that group, and that's the group that's got to drive this now, right? So, but I think 25,000 is a great crowd in the CFL. If they could get back to that at Edmonton, I think they'd be really happy with that.
And all it would take is winning?
I think winning is some of it, but you're always going to be number 2 in the market behind the hockey club by a long shot. And so, however, they've done really well with the basketball team, the Stingers. The Riverhawks it's been a really great little baseball story down in the River Valley. They've drawn over almost did 120,000 in a shortened schedule, a split schedule. So people are going to sporting events, but you got to create some excitement. It can't only be about what's on the field or what's on the diamond. You've got to turn it into a complete family event, and both the Stingers and the Riverhawks have done it. The Elks are trying to do it. Winning obviously is a huge element, but we'll see where they go with this over the next little while. And now we're starting to move towards, well, you know what it's all about. When you start to move towards Labor Day, people start to get more interested too, right?
Yeah, I never got that. When they said the unofficial kickoff to the season.
I know you didn't.
The CFL season is Labor Day. Yeah, you missed half the season, guys. But, I'm hearing this a lot from Edmonton. You're from there, right? You're from Edmonton, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hear it from the Mark Spectors and the Jason Gregors and the AJ Jakubics even. People think he's an Ottawa guy, but he's not. He's an Edmonton guy.
No.
You know this, but it would surprise younger people that they say in their youth, the Oilers and the Eskimos were even. Eye to eye.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And who would believe that now in any Canadian market? But it was a fact, right?
Well, absolutely. And also when I started going to Eskimo games back in the day, it was a horrible team. I went to Clark Stadium as a kid in an area at the end zone called the Knothole Gang. Every CFL team had an area to develop their younger fan base, and it was awful. It wasn't until Tom Wilkinson got there in I think probably 1974 that they started to win, and then they really went on a winning tear. But you know what? I think to appreciate winning, you've got to go through some horrible losing. The Oilers did that. We had the glory years in the 80s, and then we had the gory years in the 1990s. And then, they haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1990. So you've gone through a lot of pain. They've got, obviously to the Stanley Cup final twice. I just think that that's the development of the city is that we're a hockey town first, but still a very strong. If you bring a really good sporting event to the city of Edmonton, they will support it. I'll bet you the attendance at the Holinka is probably pretty good, even though the weather has been, it's typical August, but They'll turn up. If they think it's a big event, they will turn up. If they think it's a big game, they'll be there, even if you're losing, but you still got to win.
It looks like it's been a decent crowd. I've been catching some of the games on TV. So, Bryn, I always enjoy the chats. And as you know, it's not just like sports. It's like life. You don't appreciate the good till you've gone through the bad. And I know you're appreciating the good, buddy. So, listen, you're out of here.
Absolutely.
Say it.
Yeah.
Please. Say it.
I know.
Say it.
I will. Hey, Rob Carney's watching. I know he's probably laughing already at this point. He's tuning in at Moose Jaw, but I'm Bryn Griffiths, Rod. I'm out of here.
How about that? Bingo!
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Bryn Griffiths, he's out of here.
Let's go.
We'll be right back with overtime. He's gone. He's gone. We'll be right back with a sports update.